So, Sam Kerr, the female footballer for both Chelsea Football Club here in England and the Australian national team over in Australia, has been in the news recently for not necessarily football reasons and not in a good light, really. I wasn't aware of this incident actually occurring, but basically she was accused of racially abusing a police officer here in London, and yeah, she's been found not guilty of this. Now, I'm gonna go through the story first and then give my thoughts on the end, because at the end of the day, a lot of people have been very much enraged by this. I'm seeing a lot of discourse and controversy online about Kerr and how they believe she should have been punished, but she has not been punished for what she was alleged to have done, and that is the language I need to use, because at the end of the day, if I say she did do it, then that would go against the court ruling, of course. I don't want to get sued here on the footballchronicle.com. What I do want to do is read out this article first. So let's have a look at what's been said here, guys. Chelsea and Australia striker Sam Kerr has been acquitted of racially aggravated harassment of a police officer in London. The 31-year-old, who is one of the world's top strikers and plays for Chelsea in the Women's Super League, was on trial for allegedly abusing PC Stephen Lovell in southwest London on the 30th of January 2023. The incident occurred after Kerr and her partner, United States midfielder Christy Mewis, were driven to Twickenham police station by a taxi driver who alleged that they had refused to pay cleanup costs after one of them was sick and that one of them was smashed the vehicle's rear window. Kerr, who has Indian ancestry, called Lovell stupid and white during the incident. Kerr accepted saying those words, but denied one court count of racially aggravated harassment. Her lawyer argued that Kerr was making a comment about power and privilege, and testified that she felt police treated her differently because of the colour of her skin. Following a trial at Kingston Crown Court, a jury found Kerr not guilty. In a statement after the verdict, Kerr said, "Following today's not guilty verdict, I can finally put this challenging period behind me. While I apologise for expressing myself poorly on what was a traumatic evening, I have always maintained that I did not intend to insult or harm anyone, and I am thankful that the jury unanimously agreed. I am fully focused on getting back to the pitch and look forward to an exciting year ahead for me and my family." During the trial, Kerr and Mewis said that they believed they were being held hostage by the taxi driver, with Mewis kicking the cab's rear window in a bid to escape shortly before they arrived at the police station. Kerr testified that she felt terrified for my life during the cab journey and that the police did not take her concerns seriously. The trial has been closely followed by the media in Australia, with Kerr's position as captain of the Matildas, the female equivalent of the men's national team over in Australia, being called into question by critics. James Johnson, head of Australia's Football Association, declined to comment on how Kerr's return to the national team would be handled, stating, "We understand that there will be some disappointment out there from fans, but what we would ask is that we wait it out. What we need to do is give Sam the opportunity to go through the trial. Once that is completed, then we'll have a holistic view of what's happened." Kerr, who is the captain of the all-time leading scorer for Australia with 69 goals since her debut in 2009, hasn't played since sustaining an ACL injury during warm weather training camps in Morocco for Chelsea in January 2024. She is expected to return in the coming weeks in time to play for Australia in a pair of international friendlies against South Korea in April in the lead up to the 2026 AFC Asian Cup. Right, I mean, this is honestly such a complicated thing, but the main complaint that a lot of people have with this is that if it was the police officer that made reference directly to the color of her skin, because like it said, she's got partial Indian ancestry. I did some research before I started this video as well, and I think she's like a half or a quarter Indian, something like that. So let's just say a police officer says, you know, we all know the one we're thinking of, unfortunately, when it comes to this. It is one that is still frighteningly common here in the UK, tragically, but that's just a fact of life, unfortunately. Hopefully it does go changing. It has been improving, of course, but yeah. But anyway, let's just say this officer said something like that, or the taxi driver said something like that. Would they face punishment for that? I would think so. I would think so. Now, Kerr's openly admitted that she was a bit of an idiot with what she said, and she probably does regret it, to be honest, but getting no punishment for this, I don't know, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to give my viewpoint on it, but I don't necessarily agree with the whole two-tier system and stuff like that, but things like this does definitely stoke the flames of that. Everybody talks about a two-tier system here in the UK now. So, two-tier Keir for our Prime Minister. Of course, Keir Starmer. That's a criticism that a lot of people say. I'm not saying whether I agree with that or not, but that is a view that a lot of people have at the end of the day. And I have to admit that I'm a bit disappointed in a sense that she's not had some sort of punishment for what she said. Because at the end of the day, as a white person, I don't take any offense to what she said. I honestly, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, you're an idiot. Like, why are you saying that? I wouldn't be that mad about it, really. I'd just be like, what are you on about? People call me a lot worse things than stupid and white in my comment section. You know who you are, guys. You're probably watching this video. Although, of course, a lot of people do support me, and I do agree, I do very much appreciate that. But yeah, I do understand why some people are very much annoyed, because if a police officer or the taxi driver said that, like, the officer would have been sacked if they said something about her heritage, her color of skin. So it sounds like a really traumatic thing. Like, one of them was probably, given the fact that one of them vomited, I would imagine one of them was probably quite drunk in the back of a taxi, and tensions were high. And if that taxi driver did actually stop them leaving, that is a bit much. Yeah, it's one of the things, it's like, I get the taxi driver doesn't want them to leave because then they're not going to pay for the cleanup and stuff like that, but if there's people in the back of your car that are very, very uncomfortable like that and want to get out, I don't know what the protocol is on that. Taxi drivers, let us know, but I would say at that point you probably let them out. These are two women's footballers. They're not exactly conspicuous. They're not just an average Joe John on the street. These are professional athletes that are on the TV every other week, especially, when they're playing or whatever. So, yeah, I feel it sounds like a pretty traumatic thing overall, just from both sides of it, from, the players' side of things and also from the taxi driver's side of things too. So, yeah, on the whole thing about treating her different because of the colour of skin, no idea on that personally. I've not had too many run-ins with the police. I've got friends from all kinds of backgrounds. I've not really heard anything when it comes to that kind of profiling. Personally, my experience or whatever, all the people I know's experience, I'm just one person though. So, I'm sure people have all kinds of horrible stories when it comes to that. You get some good apples and some bad apples, and that applies to both, any kind of profession. The police definitely included in that too. So, yeah, I have to admit, I'm surprised. But, Chelsea very much have a history of, unfortunately, with racial aggravated things. Remember John Terry? Remember what happened to him? He got stripped of the England captaincy, I believe, over that incident with Anton Ferdinand, and rightfully so. We'll see what happens with Kerr. Now, the Australians might well strip her of the captaincy for this. It's not exactly a good look, really. It's not exactly a good person at that point with what's happened, to be a role model to the younger players coming through and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. Maybe something will happen with Chelsea. Probably not. I don't think Chelsea actually did anything when John Terry did his thing. So I imagine nothing will happen on that front. The soccer, the Matildas, whatever you want to call them, they may do something different. But we'll bring you here on the Football Chronicle as always, guys, for you guys to have a listen to. We'll bring you the news when it comes, of course. But yeah, very controversial issue, and it's sure to get people enraged. I'm trying to stay on the fence as much as I can. I'm trying to get different viewpoints across here at the end of the day, because there's some people as well that would also say, well, we're meant to have free speech here, so she should be able to say what she wants to say. But again, that's a whole rabbit hole of an issue that I'm not going to get into that video on this one. This is not the channel for it. This is not the place for it. But at the end of the day, I understand why some people are annoyed at this, definitely. I'd say the biggest pouring of emotion, really, is anger and disappointment that she's been found not guilty or acquitted or whatever. So, thoughts in the comments below on this, guys, as always. I'm sure there'll be plenty of thoughts on this. And, of course, for much more football content, hopefully actually sticking to the game itself, well, yeah, keep it tuned here to thefootballchronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, as always, guys. See you soon. Have a good one.